So it's just amazing every time you see a photograph of Bhagavan on a particular day, we can say what he was working on that day. Okay, next. Next is the first essay he wrote specifically for the Aletheon. So this page is the beginning of the Aletheon. And I mean the beginning in the sense of his chronological work on it. It's not the first thing in the book. This was written on September 24th, 2006, and it's very telling that the first thing he wrote for the Aletheon is divine Adidam is inside out. Meaning, Adidam is not something where you start outside, you presume yourself to be outside, and you somehow got to get inside. It does not work that way. In other words, my understanding of this is Adidam is devotional recognition response to Bhagavan. It's not taking on a bunch of practices as if they were something in and of themselves. It's not taking on a set of beliefs or behavioral rules. It is from the inside. It is our heart recognition of him that then expands and covers our whole life. So that was his first communication in the Aletheon, that title, Divine Adidam is Inside Out. We'll go through and look at all 13 pages of this essay, which he wrote on that day. So page 2. And you'll notice he numbered the pages himself. He always put a number at the top with a circle around it, indicating the page numbering for something that he had newly written. And by the way, this essay changed only very slightly from his, I mean, I should say, he only revised it or slightly. He added quite a lot to it. He made it quite a bit longer. But what he wrote on that first day basically is what is in the Aletheon. Yeah, he numbered each page. And this is the first reading in the Perfect Philosophy section of the first essay in Perfect Philosophy. Page 3, 4, 5. Now this one I just want to read because this is word for word exactly the same in the current text of the Aletheon. Reality itself, which is truth itself and the only God there is, always works from the inside to out. Repeating the message of the title. And the only change he made to this sentence was to underline the last 7 words. So the whole ending of the sentence is underlined. Always works from the inside to out. Now, okay, let's continue with those pages. 6. Yeah. And that's his very characteristic curving around the page when he wanted to add something. 7. Yeah. 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, and the last page of his writing from this day on this essay. Then, the same day that he wrote this essay, which was the first essay he wrote for the Aletheon, he spoke the second essay for the Aletheon. I'm not sure which order they occurred in, when he might have spoken it before he wrote this. I actually don't know. But they occurred on the same day. He wrote one essay, Divine Adidam is Inside Out, and then he spoke in place, Where and As I Am, which is the second essay in Perfect Philosophy. It was a very extensive set of notes, well, spoken communication, which he then turned into an essay. And that, again, as I've mentioned before, covers his two basic modes of writing. One is he would write from scratch, and that's what these pages look like, where it's just his handwriting in ink on yellow pages. The other is he would speak it. It would be transcribed. The editors would prepare it according to the hundreds of rules that he had given us. And then he would continue working on it from there. So right on the very first day, he did both things. He wrote one essay and spoke another one. So now we're ready for photographs of Bhagavan returning from Indigo Swan to Ahamdazmistan. So when Bhagavan finished, which would typically be late morning, he would complete his work for the day. Most often that's how it worked. Then, or very early afternoon. Then he would come back from Indigo Swan to Ahamdazmistan with M and do whatever he was going to do next, have lunch or whatever next. And then typically his afternoon and early evening would be spent working in Picture Perfect. Now, he didn't only write in Indigo Swan. That was the place that he had sort of set aside for writing, and he did most of his writing there. But he also had writing setups in Ahamdazmistan, in his bedroom, and in Glass Pear. He had a writing setup in Samraj Mahal. He had one in Cowcatcher. He had one in Picture Perfect and Lion's Lap, various other places, so that anytime he wanted to write, he was ready to write. There was no obstacle to him writing, no matter where he was. And so these are some photographs taken in Glass Pear when he was working there on February 18th, 2007. And you'll see you can't exactly tell, but that's a red dictionary sitting on the corner of the table. He always had a dictionary. He frequently would refer to the dictionary to make sure that the meanings of a particular word he wanted to use were exactly what he wanted. And if the dictionary didn't have a meaning that coincided with what he wanted to write, then he would find some other word. So on this day, he had 4 manuscripts. You can see the manuscripts are always presented to him in red folders. And he's working on one of them and has 3 others there also. And he had the table of contents for the Aletheon. And he had the essay Radical Adidam. Now, as I mentioned, this day, the photograph was taken on February 18th, 2007. Approximately 3 weeks before that, or about a month before, on January 21st, 2007, was his last avataric discourse, which was given in Is Da Happen. It was a very different event than the other avataric discourses. He simply spoke. He was not taking any questions. And that discourse became the essay Radical Adidam. So this photo is shortly after he had spoken that discourse, and he was working on making that discourse into the new essay. And then he also was working on Do Not Misunderstand Me. He actually extensively worked on it for the purpose of it being part of the Aletheon. The first word that was in all of his source texts, it's actually not in as many books now as it used to be. But he worked with it with a specific view to making it serve a particular function in the Aletheon. And then he was also working on Perfect Knowledge is Perfect Freedom from All Illusions of Mind. Another essay for the Aletheon. And then the next picture. Now here is a really wonderful picture. Here we have an actual photographic record of Bhagavan writing his curving lines around the edges of the page. This is really precious. And so it's a little hard to see, but he's writing a line that comes out from the middle of the text and then curves down the side of the page. That's what he's doing right now. And he had already written curving text around the edges, as you can see on the other side of the paper. So now we're going to see the actual yellow page that he's working on here.